Okay, you can sit down. We'll set it up for Avantika one, right?
Welcome to ISKCON of Silicon Valley. It's a pleasure to have everyone here today, and thank you for joining us online from various places around the world. Our broadcast team works around the clock to make sure that you get the clearest sound and picture and the best angles. We'd like to thank them very much, headed by Ramananda Sakaprabhu. Hare Krishna. The founder and Acharya means one who teaches by example, of ISKCON is His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who's seated on this ornate seat called the Vyasasana, the seat of Vyasadeva, who's the compiler of the ancient Vedic wisdom, put it together with the intention that it would be disseminated all over the world and people would be able to upgrade their lives, especially humans, and be able to attain the perfection of life, which is called Krishna consciousness. We're conscious beings, but our original consciousness is Krishna consciousness because we're a part and parcel of the Supreme, whose name is Krishna, means all attractive. He has millions of names. He's an unlimited person, and who's the source of everyone and all of us. So there's a practice or a sadhana through which one becomes Krishna conscious, which is the goal or the sadhya. And one of the main practices is through hearing transcendental sound. Transmission of sound is not just informative, but also purifying. We can understand what's going on in another city, for instance, by hearing from someone who's there, an eyewitness. And there's the added feature of sound that comes or is passed down from spiritual realms, that it informs us of the nature of those realms, and that's what impels us to go anywhere, is to hear about it first. But also, the nature of that sound is that it purifies us by giving us a higher taste. It's also described, Hunoti Salilam Krishna. that the transcendental sound vibration has a very specific way in which it erases the impressions, material impressions that we have that keep us attached to the lower energy of matter. So the main practice that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 500 years ago, the avatar of Krishna, who most recently appeared in the world, taught universally was the chanting of God's names. And just by repeating the names of God, one would feel this purification and also would develop a desire to go to the spiritual world, which is not an ordinary desire. Most people desire to stay here in the material world and try to make it work. The Bhagavad Gita, which is a book spoken by Krishna to his friend Arjuna, informs us, or Krishna informs us in the Bhagavad Gita, that we will never make a permanent settlement in the material world, nor will we ever feel completely comfortable here, because we're categorically incompatible with the material world. So we can have the sense of a push-pull, attraction for higher ground, the spiritual world, and also a pessimism, if you will, for the material world, in that it'll never quite work out here in this world. So we'll try this chanting and see how it goes. There's a special mantra, Hare Krishna. It goes, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And today's chanting is brought to you by Crystal Geyser. Whenever I get thirsty before a kirtan, I always drink Crystal Geyser. I think this little gong, or this little cowbell, was pretty loud yesterday. Was it loud when I played it for the examulus? Bing, bing, bing? No? Okay. This is a very special cowbell. It was given to me by Gopal, a great Kirtaniya. And it has two ecstatic sounds, which we'll add into the kirtan today. And today, because we're just getting started, we need something to lift us up a little bit. So we're going to start with a very happy tune that's in the special raga, which is meant to lift our spirits. If you add that and the holy names together, you have a kind of elixir. You know what an elixir is? We're about to have an elixir. People look for it. They go to Whole Foods, look on the vitamin shelf. They're always looking online to see what's the latest thing. Everyone eats superfoods, at least I do. I always hope there's some kind of shortcut to immortality, or at least to stave off the inevitable. But there is really an elixir. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if you sing the holy names of the Lord, especially with a wide open heart, then you'll experience what's called amrita, or deathlessness. There'll be kind of a chill that goes up your spine, and a throbbing of the heart. Pulaka sharira. Sometimes tears come to the eyes. What does the word elixir mean? We need a bucket full of microphones, please. Also, are you set? Yes.
Is it elixir spelled as A-L-I?
Oh, E-L.
A-E-L.
E-L-I-X. Elixir. I was probably pronouncing it elixir, but it's elixir.
Okay. Elixir is a noun, and it means a magical or medicinal potion.
Yes. In Sanskrit, it's also called chikitsitam, which means a kind of process that clears the consciousness. Chit, chikititam. Your consciousness becomes clean. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Everyone, please.
Krishna Preshtaya
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Next slide. Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Sing it like the first time you ever heard it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. I first offer my respectful obeisances to my spiritual masters, Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and to all of you who are Vaishnavas and are very dear to Lord Krishna. Hare Krishna. So the first goal of the yoga process is to control the mind, and it is a fighting process like boxing. You ever have to step in the ring, you want to be prepared. Not that I know a lot about that. I mean, I've watched boxing matches and I know the ethos of those who practice martial arts and fighting and so forth. And there's a strategy. And also one has to know that the mind is a formidable opponent when it is in an untamed state. It can come from any side and is very artful at dissuading us from leaving the material world, or for that matter, keeping a steady practice in any discipline, what to speak of in Krishna consciousness. So what's the solution? One has to have a good strategy. So there are some tips in the Bhagavad Gita that are very practical that can help us to box with the mind and make it our friend. I don't know if those two are mutually exclusive. Do boxing opponents end up as friends usually? Any boxers in here? Oh, yeah? He quit, okay. Okay, so a few existential points that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 13th chapter of the Gita, Krishna explains that the whole material world and all the forms that we see, take a moment to inventory what you see, including your body, start from an amorphous substance of energy, which then gets divided into various parts. Well, you're not part of that energy. The mind also is part of that original material energy, and you're not the mind either. We're a different energy altogether than the mind. So this is important to know, that we're not the mind, because oftentimes when I am swept away by the mind, I feel as if I'm overcome by the various circumstances of my life. But actually what's happening is I'm identifying myself with the mind as it plays a movie of various experiences that I've had in the past. And it's forecasting, based on that, what might happen in the future. A good example of this is artificial intelligence, which of course tries to mimic the mind and other aspects of the human brain. And you may notice that whatever you do on the internet or anywhere else that's connected to the internet follows you around then for the rest of your life. Did you know that? In fact, the AI brain knows more about us than we know about us, because we're not really paying that much attention. We just do whatever we want to do impulsively, and then the AI brain figures out that as a composite that this is what you're like. This is what you like and this is what you don't like. And it keeps putting it in front of our face. As if you go to any mix anywhere, like on YouTube, it'll present to you like, this is what you like. Like, yeah, I guess I do. And then you listen to it more and it's like, people say, yeah, you listen to that a lot. It's like, you like that, right? Yeah, I guess I really like it. And then the mind becomes more inclined towards it because whatever we hear. And in this way, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Purusha prakritisto hi bhunte prakriti jahan gunan karanam guna sangosya sarasad yonishu, janma yonishu. That there's a way in which, because of my previous experiences and associations, that I develop a conglomeration in my mind of various impressions, and those get presented to me on the screen of my mind over and over again. So if I just am lazy, and non-yogic life means to be lazy. You just sit there like a, what do they call it, a couch potato? You sit like a couch potato and you just look at your mind and just get carried away by the various scenes that it shows you. Not you, because you guys don't do that, but one who might be afflicted by this dread disease, avidya, ignorance. And therefore, there are predictable projections that the mind will bring up. In fact, the Bhagavatam says that fear is one of the emotions that arises. We meant to do that. They're creating sound effects back there just for the... And there's a way that we become affected by listening to the various suggestions of the mind or watching the scenes that it projects. And one of the ways that we might do that is we'll look at what's happening now and then project that this is what might happen in the future. This is known as worry. And I worry and I project that these are various scenarios that might happen. I may be sitting in a pristine environment like a beautiful field with clover, and there are bees aimlessly wandering everywhere and birds, but in my mind I'm thinking this could all be burnt up within a few days and I'll be homeless, and how will I find a glass of water to drink? That there are many ways in which I'll project and become fearful of what might happen in the future. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna recommends that one become dhira, or tolerant of the changes of the mind and not become overwhelmed by the projections and not identify with them. So a mantra that I learned a long time ago, or an affirmation, that I found to be helpful in dealing with the mind and bringing myself to equanimity in those times when the mind makes suggestions that are unsavory or even that are overly optimistic. And that is, things are never as good as they seem or as bad as they seem. Would you like to say it? Yeah. Things are never as good as they seem or as bad as they seem because the mind tends to augment the situation. And have you ever heard the statement, "It is what it is"? Do you ever use that one? I find that helpful also. So what just happened? It is what it is. And basically, that's the summary of what happens to us in the material world. It is what it is. Because partly it's inexplicable, the things that happen to us. We know philosophically that various things come to us and go away from us based on the time factor, which eventually unravels everything, all our plans and whatever we are trying to hold on to. It also brings us unexpectedly gains that make us feel suddenly rich. So Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, don't be overwhelmed on either side. When there's gain, or when there's loss, or when there's victory or defeat, the bhakti yogi, that's all of you, should just remain even, because it is what it is. And in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Narada Muni says, "Tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido, nalabhyate yad brahmatam upariyada, talabhyate dukkavad anyata sukham, kalena sarvatra gabhira ramhasa." He says that, it is what it is. Things come in due course of time that you weren't expecting, either good or bad. But it's a product of previous momentum, so don't become overly disturbed by it. Stay even in those circumstances. Well, I say, that might be hard to do. So start by increments. So one of the ways in which we augment the situations that are going on in our minds is to say anything that comes to our mind. So as I've said here before, try to filter out and from the mind and present only the most important things or useful things in what you say. And therefore, the way I think about it is say 33% less every day. What's in your mind? Do you have things that come into your mind during the day that you might bring out and say? And are all of them necessary? Well, try saying 33% less. And then the next is that wait 33% longer before you react to anything. So, did you laugh? That's good. Please give the microphone to Ramananda Saka. This is a rare opportunity to hear what was on his mind when he laughed there. Ramananda, you got to turn on your own mic now.
Yeah, there was nothing on my mind.
Okay.
I was just laughing because you were saying wait 33% longer before you say something.
Okay. That reminds me of like something Spock would say. All right. So 33% wait 33% longer to react. So if something happens, you would just, it's like, okay, 33%, then I can react. And then also tolerate the inevitable discomfort that you might feel. Does anybody ever come across discomfort? 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not counting the ones with the hands up. I'm counting the ones with the hands down because I'm going to come move in with you and see how you do it. No matter where you go, it seems to follow somewhere. Didn't fit. Something broke right at the wrong time. You're ready to push the link, and then the screen goes off. Whatever it is, there's always something. So wait 33%. Tolerate for 33% longer when something happens. It's nearly the same as the other one, but just think of it in terms of wait a little bit longer to become impatient. Just be patient a little longer. So these are qualities that are recommended, not just by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. Be patient, be tolerant. See that things always even out in this world. Krishna is the perfect moral agent. He's always acting for our welfare in everything that he does. And if we can keep that mentality and understand that he's our well-wisher, whatever's happening, especially because I've made a declarative statement somewhere and sometime in my life, correct me if I'm wrong, but sometime, somewhere, you stopped and very intentionally cried out to Krishna and said, Krishna, I'm yours. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to surrender to you. Confirmed? If not, you can raise your hand now and still sign up for it. I surrender to Krishna. Krishna, whatever you want, I'm going to do. I'm going to surrender to you and follow your path. Yes or yes? Thank you. That's when you raise your hand fast on because you get counted. So anytime you do that, then Krishna says, okay, this person's in. And Prabhupada writes in the preface to the Upadeshamrita that after that, even if you change your mind, it's too late because Krishna will drag you. Jai. Who said Jai? Very good. Keep it up. Okay, so the mind is a medium through which we view the world. So the condition of our mind determines how we're doing in life. And another practice that helps to still the mind is to make a clear list of priorities, because the mind is constantly picking and choosing based on what I mentioned before, various influences. So if you take time to prioritize your life by, for instance, and especially, writing down what your priorities are, then this is a time in which, or take the time in which, you're fully absorbed in your intelligence. And you're very deliberately deciding as the adult in the room, the mind is like a little child when it's conditioned, what's best for us as a family, talking to all the parts of your body. And say, this is what our main priorities are. And then when the mind is attracted to various options and gets confused or bewildered or depressed, then you can call upon that time in which you are very deliberate in deciding what your priorities are, and you can ask yourself this question, what's my purpose? You just ask the question now. So today, I've been especially busy because, and that's nothing to do, I shouldn't even say it because you're way busier than I am, but because we're leaving on a trip on Wednesday and we're doing multiple seminars along the way, and there's a crunch time for getting everything ready, plus everything else all together. And so I was walking out of my kutir, walking up to lunch, which is a happy time normally, but my mind was so absorbed in the first steps out, I had to stop and ask myself, what's my purpose? And then I reconfirmed that my purpose is to serve my spiritual master. And as soon as I remembered that, then I felt, hey, it's all worth it. All this pushing and being fully absorbed and whatever austerity it takes is worth it because that's what my purpose is. I already decided that. And so this can be very helpful to actually decide and write down what your purpose is and keep coming back to it. And in times when the mind perhaps wants to suggest, no, actually, my purpose is to be comfortable and just do whatever I want. Of course, there's a time for that, to relax and recreate oneself. But still, there has to be this overarching sense of purpose that I'm going somewhere. I live for this. You have to live for something. And if I take it a step further, I don't mean to alarm anybody. I know this is a family show. But you should be ready to die for something too. And you'll find that people who are ready to die for a particular cause, like the early Christians, they couldn't be defeated by the powerful Roman Empire because they were willing to give up their lives for their cause. They were tortured, actually, because they were following Jesus, his teachings and so forth, and they banded together. The Roman government didn't like it at all until they changed their minds and became Christians themselves. But at the early stage of the movement, Christians had to stand up for their faith or die or recapitulate. And it's not like they could run away because the Romans would track them down. They were expert at that. And so many of them were threatened to be fed to lions. That's no joke. But they said, okay, my faith is more invested. I believe in that so strongly. If that's the way it is, I'm not going to capitulate and I'll be fed to the lions. And if you're ready to die for something, then you're invincible, actually. How strong must your purpose be for your mind to be strong? Well, the stronger the better. So there is an ultimate purpose to life, which is, as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, prema pramarto mahan, to worship Krishna and chant Hare Krishna and develop love for Krishna. So if we're really clear on that and we have a strong purpose, then the mind will be overcome. We can overcome our mind by remembering our purpose. Okay, I have a few more before some reflections. Just learn to be grateful even for reversals or bad situations in life. That sounds like a hard thing to do, but we keep it as an ideal. And one of the ways to do that, when a reversal comes, rather than trying to granularly repair the situation, is to ask, what am I meant to learn from this? What's the lesson that I'm going to get from this particular situation? Because the universe is a classroom. And ultimately, it's meant to teach us to be pure devotees. And if we understand that, and that's, as remember, we started with that purpose, then whenever reversals come, I can ask myself the question, what's the lesson? How will this shape me to be closer to what Krishna appreciates, the qualities that appreciate? How will it help me to develop the qualities that Krishna particularly appreciates? Okay, I have more practical things. Hold on. There's a lot in here. Just don't box yourself in. I thought of this one a while back in studying Chinese kanjis, which are part of the Japanese language. And there is one, komaru, which means to be troubled. And it's a pictograph. Do you all know a little bit about Chinese? Anybody? It's not close to Telugu. So in the Chinese language, there's little pictures, actually. And there are radicals, like you'll see things that are like little drops. That indicates there's something to do with this picture. It has to do with water. Sometimes there's a picture of a tree. And it's like, okay, tree means life. There's something like that. And then now the verb for to be troubled is komaru, and there's a box with a tree inside. What's wrong with that picture? A closed box. Does that make it more clear? Tree can't get out. You're boxed in. That's kind of troublesome. What? Tree can't go out. So that's troublesome situation. So we can also box ourselves in. So there are ways to come out of the box. And we're spirits, spirit souls. We want to be free to do anything, fly anywhere, but we're inside the box of this body. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught that the most efficient way to come out of the confines of the mind is to repeat the transcendental vibration. He said, Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrarpita Nimahita Smarinayana Kala. Itadrishi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaivam Idrishami Hajani Nanuragaha. First says that the vibration of the holy names, it has all spiritual power. And when you repeat those holy names, then you can be directly in touch with the all-powerful, all-purifying force of Krishna. And then he says, if you feel uninspired to chant, you're held back from the process, then practice humility. So this is one of the practices to come out of the regions of boredom and anxiety, which confine us and prevent us from actually freely engaging in what makes us happy, which is pure devotional service. So the first practice he recommended in order for us to go on with the transcendental vibration is to practice feeling humble. So there's a few elements to that. One is that one should be like a tree. And the tree is a servant. It offers itself in the form of fruit and shade and even wood after it's dead, or even when it's alive sometimes, to others. And Lord Chaitanya said, be tolerant like that. And then he said that you should be ready to respect all others, but don't expect anything in return. So this is a lifelong practice. And he said, if you're able to practice these tenets of humility and service, and also humility means don't expect respect, but give respect to others. He said, then you'll be in a position to continuously chant Hare Krishna. And when you're doing that, then there's this spiritual strength that starts to come into the heart, where one's able to overcome the whimsy of the mind and actually follow Krishna's plan. And then Krishna says, Raga Dvesha Vimuktaistu Vishayan Indriyaishcharan Atmavashera Vidheyatma Prasadam Adigashyati. When you come to this point, when you're able to follow what he calls the regulative principles of freedom, then you get the grace of the Lord, the prasad, because you have the strength and you know it to follow the Lord's plan. So practicing the simple system that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave with these basic tenets, and there are a few other tips that I gave, is the way to success, but it has to be done consistently. And therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommended that we count how many times we chant every day. So that can be done by keeping track either on some beads, or if you get a little hand counter and it has a button on it. Do I have one in my pocket? I have one somewhere. I always keep a few around. And I'm going to look. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Feel keys. Here it is. I was in Japan and I was standing in front of a beautiful temple. We were making a film there a few years ago. And there was a young woman from, I think she was from China. She was a tourist. She was watching. And afterwards she came over to ask us what we were doing. And I noticed she had one of these. They usually have a strap, but I always pull them off because I like just keep it in my hand. It's a little counter. She had one on her finger and she was counting, and I asked her what she was counting, and she said mantras, counting her mantras. And whenever I'm holding one of these and people ask me what I'm counting, I always say I'm counting my blessings. They say, how many you got there? Well, that's 17,025. That's a lot. So one way or another, if you count how many mantras you do every day and you make sure that you stay at a consistent number and don't go below that, then the power of the holy name will start to have its effect in our life. It tends to give us the kind of superpowers of being tolerant, the type of tolerance that I mentioned before, and also it gives us a kind of spiritual intelligence that we normally don't get. Keep in mind that Krishna is within every atom. In the Sri Brahma Samhita, Brahma says, Ekopyaso rachaditum jagaranda kotim, yat shaktirasti jagaranda chayayaranda, andantarasta paramanu chayantarastam, govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. That Krishna is there present within every atom. And of course we know in the Gita, Krishna says, I'm there within the heart. So he's always with us. And when we chant Hare Krishna, then there's a way in which we become conscious of Krishna, and Krishna also responds to the fact that we're chanting, and he empowers us with this superpower to be patient and also to see the difference between ourselves and our minds. And then we're able to actually walk in the world without touching it and becoming overwhelmed by all the various complexities and difficult situations. In that case, the Bhagavatam, Sutta Goswami says, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Jana Yashuvairagyam Jnanam Chayara Haitukam. When you do direct devotional service, and chanting Hare Krishna is definitely direct devotional service, then you get as concomitant assets knowledge and detachment from the world. And so then one can see the world in a different way and come out of the box of the limitations of the mind. I also recommend start your day by saying a mantra. So the first thing I do is I have a discipline as soon as I come to awakened consciousness, even if I'm still lying down, which is usually the case. And the first thing I do is engage my tongue. I'll say first the pranam mantra of my guru, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paschatyadesh. Then Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Then Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I have one more mantra that I say, but I'll save that for later. And then my friend Satyadev Prabhu, I noticed when we were traveling together, he has a particular system. As soon as he gets up, first thing he does is he thanks his spiritual master. He says, thank you, Srila Prabhupada. And to remember and be grateful is really powerful when you first wake up. And then it's good to have your basics written down, or a very clear idea about the basic things that you're going to do in order to be successful in your day. And the first and most important is to complete the prescribed number of rounds that you have for yourself. Some people do 1 round a day, some do 4, some do 8, some do 16, some do more than that. But if you keep it consistent and you carve out a time when everything else conforms around your mantra meditation, then your life will go in a very auspicious direction. Does everyone have seats? Welcome. Thank you very much for coming. Hare Krishna. So that's the first step. And then it's helpful to read something from the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Sri Ishopanishad, Nectar Devotion, one of the Shastras. Shastra is a direction given by a higher authority that you can follow that will take us out of fear and to higher ground. So these are basics that are very important to do every day. And this is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, some of his teachings about how to come out of the box of the mind, or how to box with the mind and be a winner and come to the point of being actually a successful, victorious human being, that you've risen above the dictates of the mind, which it's really rare, but it can be done by anyone who's sincere and just tries and incrementally tries to improve every day. That's another point I wrote here that I didn't mention. And I learned this from one of my teachers who said, always come back to your teacher and try to be a little bit better than you were the last time. And that works in life, is try to figure out a few things to make better, or at least one thing to be better at by the next day or the next week. Always have something you're working at to improve yourself, especially refining yourself spiritually, your spiritual practice. That keeps the mind engaged in something positive. And then finally, it's not exhaustive list of all this, but finally for now, before we try chanting again, and that is that if you think of how to do good for others, the mind naturally becomes peaceful. When I think of how to do good for myself, I'm never happy because I can never get enough. And it always seems like as soon as I get what I want, then I get bored and I want something else, or it wasn't enough. I notice that sometimes people who are humble and hungry, for instance, they're trying for some kind of athletic title. They're hungry and humble. And then let's say they win, and they win big. And then they get millions of dollars in endorsements. And then they get fat and unmotivated. What's the opposite of humble and hungry? They get, arrogant. They feel entitled. And then they also get fat, and they also feel that they're on a plateau. So in devotional service and in our practices, we should always try to be beginners. Stay humble and hungry, and don't get on that point of like, I'm entitled, I've got enough now. Try for more. That's really helpful also. I'll take a couple of reflections and then we'll save more time for chanting. I'm looking up to the Zoom board in case anybody wants to say something there too.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
On incremental development, I have a small reflection. I was reading something today morning, and if
we may just have to start over a little bit because the mask and then also the
on
song.
Incremental development, I have small reflection. I was listening to something today morning, and it says that a ship, if it changes its direction by 1 degree, instead of ending up going to one continent, it goes all the way to another continent. So that 1 degree of change can go a long way.
Yeah, we know that because we took a direct flight to Delhi from here, and it was only 15 hours. That's not so much. And then coming back from Delhi, they rerouted us because of the thing going on. And we had to take, by just small degrees, a little circumference around a certain country. And we ended up 17 and a half hours just to Chicago. Just a slight off different course. So finding your course makes a difference, and going off by a small degree, it will be catastrophic. In fact, success means a few good judgments enacted every day. And failure means a few bad judgments enacted every day, or even one. Because if we do it consistently over time, we may not see it right now, but the effect will be there later. Just like the difference between an apple a day is, it keeps the... And then if you change it just a little bit and you say, a Hershey's bar a day, Jim Rohn said, Hershey's bar a day, then wrong one, then the dentist is here to stay. There's definitely a different effect. If you try eating one Hershey bar a day, it's very different than eating an apple a day. And it's very different watching television compared to chanting japa. That's about the difference of a Hershey bar a day and an apple a day. So just make the right decisions and keep at them. One more reflection and then we'll chant. Yes, Pavani Bhakti.
I really like the humble and be hungry part. And so many examples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrates how he has demonstrated humility. And if we are empty, only then we can take it, no matter how much we grow.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to, whenever anybody would praise him, he'd say, no, I learned this all from Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. I learned it all from Ramananda Roy. I learned it all from Swarup Damodar. He always claimed he got it from his followers, from his disciples. And then whenever he'd show ecstatic symptoms, he would faint in ecstasy. I know this is an advanced topic, but then he'd come to consciousness, and then he'd said, what did I do? And they said, you fainted, you were crying. And he said, it was only out of a sense of false ego, just out of pride that I had. I'm just trying to show my spiritual advancement. It's not real. And so he set the example to always stay hungry and humble. And also, the Goswamis of Vrindavan, who were his dedicated disciples, never said, I saw Krishna. They always were looking for Krishna, feeling separation from him. And they always remained meek and humble. So much so that they were appreciated by everybody. Everyone, they were approachable by everyone by, as the translation goes, the gentle and the ruffians. And they were open and equal to all in the way they gave out mercy. So we can get all this by chanting Hare Krishna. And also I recommend, if we practice patience and also giving respect to others, then these are basic tenets that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given, and will be successful. So now we'll try chanting. Yes? Well, that's good. Radha Kripa, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam. Maharaj, I really like the point which you mentioned in the last, that always meet your teacher or spiritual teacher next time and come prepared with a better version of yourself. I think this is very inspiring, because always during the course of time, sometimes we are just stagnated, just stuck with something where we are. So I think I'll take this mantra, try to work on that one to become better version. At least think about it, so that at least I will make some tiny progress. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah, well, it's very practical also. All of you are very progressive and have done amazing things in your lives. You probably have noticed that without a scrum, you don't move a project forward. Have you ever noticed that? Unless you have at least a monthly, that's a long period of time to wait, but it's got to be at least weekly to keep the momentum going. So in Bhakti Yoga, it's daily, because the stakes are so high. You have to have a little personal scrum with your bead bag and make sure that you stay current. But everyone has to have some kind of check-in point with somebody. We have to have guidance, and we have to have somebody that we're checking in with who can look at us and say, are you getting better or worse? Because sometimes we don't even know ourselves. That's the trick of Maya also. I mentioned this the other day about the fade. Generally, people don't just all of a sudden drop their practice, but they fade away just one little bit at a time. And it's like they're circumambulating the temple, and then the block, and then the city, and then somewhere in the universe. So beware of the fade. and do the opposite of the fade, which is do incremental, make incremental increases in service. So let's try chanting under the mantra. We started with a happy tune, and now we'll go to a little bit more of a serious tune. This is one that Srila Prabhupada himself sang, so I like it very much. Everyone okay? Chant? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Gaur Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaur Hari Bo. Thank you, everybody. What a great singing party all of you are. And it was from the heart, very beautiful. And thank you very much for your kind attention over so many, almost 2 hours. And now we're going to have a old-fashioned Hare Krishna dance party. Now we're bringing it up level by level. This is where you let it all, you can become unhinged spiritually. And just put away all the seats, and we'll clear the dance floor, and then we can stand before the deities and we'll sing again, but this time feel free to sway with the music. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Remind me, I gotta get you one of those. Let's do it. Yeah.
On the third part of the last tune, do you want it to be a slow beat for that, or do you want us to speed up? When you go like,
And the next one we're doing?
no, on the last one we just did.
The last one?
Yeah. When we go to the highest part on the
Yeah.
first part. Thing.
This time I just kept it slower.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise I would have looked at you.
Okay.
You did it just right. Thank you. Oh, this goes in it. I forgot to do my Joel Osteen impression today. I'm getting closer.
Yeah, okay. I got it. Yeah, you got it.
They wanted to say hi. I'm going now.
Oh my God. Hare Krishna. You can make, in just a moment, you can spread out a little bit to the left. Maybe leave a little channel open in the middle. And if you feel more comfortable, the ladies can stay to the left and the gentlemen can stay to the right. If it makes you feel better, it might be more convenient. Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Sri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Vedanta Swami Niti. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prachadine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine. The words are on the board if you need them, right on the screen. Everyone together. Sankirtan means together. Everyone together. Very good, very good. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Everybody, please. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Go Premanande, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Nitai Gaura Hari Bo. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada. Jai Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai 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 Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Vijaya Stotra Shrimad Abhay Charanad Avinda Bhaktivedanta Sai Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. You can either stand and fold your hands or you can bow down. Standing is okay. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivraj Vijaya Stotra Shrimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Gosai Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sagaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gokopinath Shyamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Sri Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Sri Mayapur Navadiptam Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Jamuna Devi, Ganga Devi ki jai, Sambeta Bhakta Vrindi ki jai. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Haribo.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Prahlad Prahlad Rahi. Prahlad Prahlad Rahi. Hiranyagashi Purvakshaha. Hiranyagashi Purvakshaha. Shiladanganakhalaye. Shiladanganakhalaye. Eto nasimha parato nasimha. Eto nasimha parato nasimha. Yato yato yami tato nasimha. Yato yato yami tato nasimha. Bahe nasimha hridaye nasimha. Bahe nasimha hridaye nasimha. Narasimha madim sharanam prapade. Narasimha madim sharanam prapade. Tavakara kamala vayenakam adhuta shringam. Dalita hiranyagashipu tanubhinga. Keshavadita narahari rupa jai jagadisha hare. Jai jagadisha hare. Jai jagadisha hare. Tavakara kamalavaye nakhamadhuta shringam. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubhingam Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Narsimhadev, 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 Jai Narsimhadev. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jai Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Simade Bhagavan ki, Prahlad Maharaj ki, Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We welcome you all to Sunday Feast program here at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. We thank you all who are physically present here and also those who have joined us online. So let's please give a big round of applause to everyone. We started today's Sunday Feast program with a very melodious, happy tune Kirtan. And then we started, Prabhuji spoke about how to control the mind based on the basic tenets, based on the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then we concluded the discourse with another tune. And let's please give a big round of applause to Vaisesika Prabhu and express our gratitude. We also like to thank Prabhu for bringing us the ecstatic Aarti. We also like to thank Balram Prabhu for leading the Narsimha Aarti. So, is anyone coming here for the first time? Okay, thank you. We have some devotees here. Thank you all. Thank you for coming. And if you have any questions or if we can be of any assistance, please reach out to us. My name is Sri Gopal Das, or you can also reach out to Sachindra Prabhu. So we will be assisting you in any way we can. Sachindra Prabhu? Yeah, he was here. He was here. Maybe he's outside. So today's feast, we have many sponsorships for today. We have 5 sponsorships for today's Sunday feast. So we'd like to invite them one by one. The first is Sham Harikatha Mataji and Shama Sundar Prabhu. Sorry, thank you for sponsoring on the behalf of Gopi Priya's birthday. And I have a special request that Gopi Priya is very shy, so she doesn't want to come here. So we honor that, and we would like to, wish her a happy birthday. And Gopi Priya, if you are hearing this, I have a Mahaprasad and a photo frame for you. Please collect from me later. Hare Krishna. Okay, thank you. And the second sponsorship is Mayank Prabhu and his family are sponsoring on the behalf of their daughter's birthday. Prisha and is Prisha here? And Pranvi. Yes, thank you for coming. Please stand up. So how old are you? You are Prisha, right? Okay. And I understand that Pranvi is sick. Is she sick?
Yes.
Okay. So how old are you, Prisha?
8 years old.
8 years old. Okay. And how old is your sister?
14.
14. Okay. We wish you all the best and happy birthday.
Thank you.
And would you like to say something for the devotees? Okay. Do you
Hare
like?
Krishna.
Okay. Very nice. And what do you like? What do you like here?
The deities
The deities?
and the dresses of the deities.
Oh, very nice. Fantastic. Nice. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Here is a Mahaprasad and a photo frame of the deities. Okay. And the next sponsorship is Abhishek Prabhu is sponsoring on the behalf of her aunt's memory who passed away recently. So if Abhishek Prabhu, are you here? I saw him. He just probably stepped out. Okay, so, he's here. Please, Ashish Prabhu, sorry. Please come here, Prabhu. That's okay. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. That's just a small request for devotees to just pray for the safe passage of my aunt's soul. She passed away on March 8th, so that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the next sponsorship is Vijay Gopu Prabhu, who is sponsoring on the behalf of his mother's birthday and also for the well-being of his father's health. So he is not only sponsoring today's feast, but he is sponsoring 2 sets of Srimad Bhagavatam sets. So let's give him a big round of applause. So is Vijay Gopu Prabhu here? Okay. Thank you. Let's thank him in his absence here. And the next sponsors are our dear Bal Mukund Prabhu is sponsoring on the behalf of their parents who are visiting here to the ISV. Hare Krishna. Please come. Hare Krishna. And do you like your grandparents visiting?
Yes.
Okay. And did they bring you a lot of sweets?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And here is a Mahaprasad for you and a Krishna painting. Okay? All right. I think that's it for the sponsorships for today. And if there are no other sponsors or announcements, I think we'll announce the cooks. But if there are no other announcements, we'll head to Prasad Seva prayers after Avantika announces the cooks. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Today's prasadam was cooked by Siddha Katha Prabhu, Hema Mataji, Mukta Mataji, Lavanya Mataji, Shankar Prabhu, Shraddha Mataji, Sindhu Kanya Mataji, Sridevi Mataji, Vinay Prabhu, and Niharika.
Shall we sing a prayer together?
Yes.
Shall we try it in Bengali?
Yes.
The meaning of the prayer is, oh my Lord, the senses are networks of death, of pathways to death. In other words, just by following the senses, we end up taking another birth in this material world, another death, samsara. And it's very difficult to control the tongue in this world, says Bhaktivinoda Thakur in this poem. But he says Krishna is so kind that he's given us prasad, spiritual food. So when we take prasad, then the tongue becomes satisfied, controlled. Not only that, it's service to Krishna by taking prasad. We don't take prasad, we honor prasad because it's Krishna himself. So then he says, let us call out to glorify Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, call for the help of Sri Sri Gaur Nitai. Shall we try it? Yes. Okay, here we go. Sharidat Vijaya Jodendriya Tahika Jivetele Vishaya Shakare Dharma Devi Payati Yogamati Gurmati Take Jita Katita Shankara Prasade Govinde Nam Ram Vaisesika Papa Punyavatam Rajan Vishwaso Nadaite Prasade Karva Tukana Andriyachim Sugayate Prasanake Suyashu Rupaya Vakitite Kayoko Vita Satyanda Vasavantar Saisika Ukita Bogino Dasa Dhammayam Jayemahi Bhagavat Shri Mahaprasada Ki Gaura Premanande Nitai Gaura Haribo 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo Please come take prasadam. Prasadam is served in the picnic area. It's just outside this door to the right-hand side. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming to ISKCON of Silicon Valley. Please bring your friends. We're also on